Have you noticed more phishing links being passed around through emails and social media? Well, my guest today, Maxwell Berkel, technology consultant, and I are going to talk about what phishing is and how to prevent yourself from getting hooked. Welcome, Max.
Thanks for having me.
So talk to me, explain to me exactly what phishing is, what is its intent, and how can it be used against us?
Yeah, so phishing is a very old technique that's been around for a long time, but it's more prevalent today. That name phishing came about, I guess, 1996 or so, around that time when America Online was all the rage, and hackers would send out emails trying to get folks to divulge their private information. And so phishing, what it is an attempt to get someone to disclose sensitive information. It could be a password or date of birth, social security information. If you're using two-factor authentication, somebody might try to get that security code, so then they can get access. So phishing, that's what it is. It comes down to an attempt to get you to give up some sensitive information.
So here's what I experience from some of my clients. I'll get phone calls to say, hey, I just paid for my domain name, but I see that I'm getting an email here that's saying that I need to click this link to pay for a domain name. And the whole point, right, is to get you to click that link. I've gotten emails from some of the technology companies that I work with to say, hey, my password has been breached, and whatever case it is that they're trying to sell me. But the first thing that I do is I pick up the phone and I call that company and I say, hey, I'm getting this email and I validate, is this you? I don't click that link. So what I tell my clients is, do not click that link. If you believe that it's not valid, look at the URL. Look at that email address, that URL, to see where it's coming from. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, because there's a trick that they do to replicate that URL. But don't click those links, because that's how they get you. So once somebody clicks that link, Max, what happens?
When you probably the more popular form is that you'll get an email with a link in it, and if you just open the email, that's usually you're not going to get compromised that way. They might get notified that you opened the email, so now that they know that it's a valid email account, they might continue trying to send more attempts. But just opening it is not the problem. The problem usually occurs if you click on the link and then you go to whatever site they're sending you to. The reason why that's a problem is because depending on the link that you click, it might try to install something in the background. So that's one way that spyware or malware can end up getting on your computer or on your device. The other thing that you might see is that you'll click and you'll end up on a site that might look like a site that it could be maybe a bank page or something like that, and there's usually an action that they would want you to take. So it could be answering some questions or logging into something, because if you end up on a fraudulent site and you attempt to log in, you just gave up your username and password.
Right.
And they'll collect it. Or if you end up on a fraudulent site and you start answering questions, again, you're giving up your information. So that's one of the more popular techniques. But another component of phishing is it involves social engineering. So you might get, say, some emails or text messages that say, hey, your account has been compromised. Your account has been compromised. And that might just be a setup to ahead of a call maybe from somebody that, if they have your phone number, they might call and say, hey, your account has been compromised. Now, if they just called you out of the blue, it wouldn't, it might not resonate or connect as much. But if they sent you a couple of emails prior that say, hey, we see suspicious activity against your account or something like that, when they call, now you're more likely to think, oh, wow, this call is valid because I got some text messages that said, there was an issue with my account. And so this is the social engineering component where somebody would then call and then they'll start asking you questions, usually probing to get information from you. And a lot of times this would happen, and their end game is for you to take an action. So it might be that they get information because they want you to take an action. And I've seen this happen in person one time where two-factor authentication was involved, and they wanted to get that code because once they get the code, then that information that they gathered from you up front can then be used to reset your password, for example. And so phishing is not always just online or you entering something on a website. Sometimes it's a setup too for some type of a call, social engineering type of approach where you're dealing with a human that's trying to get information from you.
And I know at this time of the year, IRS tends to have that issue. They've had it for a few years now where people are calling to say they're from the IRS. They're trying to get your information, your social security. And some companies have even put emails out. They're educating. They have ads out to say, we will never ask you for your personal information, your social security. And they've been running campaigns against this kind of social engineering. But I'd like to talk about also some of the habits that I see individuals have in sharing these links on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on social media, and people are actually they just go into their messenger and they just share it with everyone liberally, not realizing that they are spreading the link.
Yeah. It's a very big problem, especially now that it's a very big problem on WhatsApp in particular with misinformation, where folks just spread. You get a link, it might be something moving or something you might find it funny, whatever. You decide to go and share it, it's a very big problem with folks just passing along, and then compromising other people, because at the end of the day, a lot of this involves trust, and if you get something and you send it to somebody else, they're more likely to think that it's something valid, that it's something good, because hey, cousin so and so sent it, so cousin so and so must know what they're doing, and so it's a whole trust game, and it's intentional that this stuff is done.
Right. Now, another thing that I see that's really big on Facebook is just people just going into Messenger and they're just forwarding things over. So my habit is I ignore Messenger. Anything that's forwarded, I ignore it. WhatsApp, anything that's forwarded, and it depends on who it's coming from, right? But what I see happening now is you will find that fake accounts are being created on Facebook and Instagram. And 2 weeks ago, my Instagram account was mirrored. It was cloned. And I actually was doing a recording and a friend of mine called to say, hey, Janet, I think your account is hacked because the conversation this person is having with me is not something that you would be having with me. And so we validated it wasn't me. And I just went on a campaign to shut down that hacker that replicated my account. So they do it on Facebook. So we have to be vigilant about who's talking to us. We have to know the people that we're connected with to identify that this person is not real and report it to the social media platform as well as to your collaborators, your friends, and help to shut them down. Because this Christmas, I would say tons of Instagram accounts were hacked, and they're just trying to get information to sell people. That's another way of getting data from people and selling them and just spamming and hacking them. So that too seems to be a campaign this holiday season. So we've touched on
it is a problem.
Right. So we've touched on quite a bit, and I know you have more to share. So I'll just let you just tell me what else are you thinking of in this phishing arena. And I know you came up with this nice, savvy little hook. You know, don't get hooked by phishing, no pun intended here. But let's talk to see if there's anything else we can kind of unravel, because we're living in a world where we just need to be aware of what's going on.
Well, I would say a good thing to discuss is probably just how to protect yourself. And again, it comes down to just being careful what we click on.
Yes.
Being careful what we clicked on, especially in emails. If it's not an email that you were expecting, and it has a link, you probably don't want to click on it if it's just something that came out of the blue. On social media, it's a little bit more difficult in that it might be a post or something that gets forwarded to you. In that case, you still have to be practice some discipline and awareness in not just clicking to open links that get sent to you. That's usually the best safeguard right there,
right,
to protect yourself from phishing. And if you did click on a link that you think is a phishing attempt or something that could be bad, one of the main things that you want to do then is probably disconnect from the internet. So you probably want to disconnect your internet, and then so just log off from the internet, and then if you have antivirus or malware protection software on your computer, just run it, just to see if there was anything installed that could be bad. So those are two tips that I would say. But the first one, just being vigilant, usually gets you very, very far. You can usually avoid a lot of problems just not, clicking on things that you don't know.
All right. Well, great conversation again. Thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to the next topic on our series. Thanks again, Max. To learn more about strategies and solutions for business and life management, click the link below to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of my weekly videos. In the meantime, click this link to keep watching, and I'll see you on my next series. Thank you for watching.